Good morning, you guys. Excuse me as I take a sip of my coffee just to show off my awesome David's Tea color changing mug, which I love and is kind of orangey red inside. I'm drinking coffee out of it. I should be drinking tea out of it, but whatever. I'm Stephanie. Welcome to my, everything channel, lifestyle channel, I guess, where I talk about tea and candles and the debt that tea and candles gets me into. I'm coming on today to report that I have paid off my credit card. I think there's like $12 on it right now. And it kind of caught me by surprise. So I wanted to come on and do a video to just kind of recognize it and talk about it a bit because it happened a little earlier than I was expecting. At the beginning of the year, I set myself a no buy / low buy kind of challenge because I needed to pay down a credit card that had built up because of sort of joy spending on like pleasurable things, let's say, particularly my tea habits and my candle habits and that kind of thing. And I started to recognize that my spending had gone beyond my means because I was just not paying attention to it. And I think I was trying to relieve some stress with shopping, and I needed to stop that habit. So I had made a goal by the end of June, based on my planning, to pay that off. And then I was sitting there the other day and I kind of just did the math on it and I realized, oh, if I like put everything from this paycheck on it, it's paid off. And so I did that, and then I just had this kind of moment where I was like, it's paid off. And I don't know if you've ever been in this situation, but felt kind of empty, right? Like sometimes when you've worked towards a goal for so long, and I find this with other goals too. I've actually always found this, like if I graduate from something or I hit a goal weight or something, I have trouble really recognizing the moment. Like I have trouble actually soaking it in. So this is me trying to soak it in, basically. But I'm going to talk about the last 6 months, and I'm going to talk about what I did, what I planned to do, what I actually did, what worked, what didn't, things I'm proud of, things I'm embarrassed of, whatever. So it's going to be a long one. I hope you hang in there with me. If you're on your own kind of journey to set goals like that, maybe you'll get a few nuggets out of it, maybe you won't, but at least I will hopefully recognize at the end of this video kind of what a long journey it actually was. So I set myself these goals kind of in January where I was going to do only on paydays I was going to shop, and I was only going to spend a certain amount of money, and it was going to be super intentional because I had started to recognize that I was just kind of not really paying attention to my credit card balance and just reacting to sales, and like watching a lot of influencers on YouTube, and just I started getting a lot of FOMO and feeling the need to have all of these kind of fun things that were not necessities, let's just say. And then it happens really fast that you suddenly look at your bank balance or you suddenly look at your credit card and you're like, what the holy hell did I just spend? How did this happen? So I set myself a bunch of rules, and I just want to say, like, those rules were good and those rules were bad, but mostly good, but mostly I didn't follow them. Let me explain. So I set a really tight goal for myself in terms of a low buy, to only spend like $25 per paycheck, and I never hit that. It was too much of a like all or nothing diet binge mentality. You know what I mean? So like if I set it to nothing and I was like nothing, and I was white knuckling it, once in a while I just go off the rails and binge and just like spend $150. So it became really pointless to be that tight with it, if that makes sense. It didn't work for my personality. What did work actually was really, I had a calendar page, and I would write down every time I would spend and how much I would spend, and I had some notes on my phone, and I would write down the amount of money I would spend. And after a couple of months, I started to really notice how much money I was spending in a month, and also like how much stuff I was bringing in that like I couldn't possibly get through, right? Like, uh, it, for example, beautiful smelling candles. I can burn through like two of those a month, right? So if I buy six candles because it's there's some amazing sale that's like two for one and blah blah blah, and I want them all, well that's like 3 months worth of candles, and I've already got like 3 months worth of candles. Like I've got it honestly, I've got 2 years worth of candles already, because of last year and kind of how I was spending. So it made me focus on being a lot more intentional and really drilling down to what I had in stock, what I needed, and need being like none of us need scented candles, none of us need fancy tea, none of us need like fancy body care, right? But it forced me to look at my own sense of scarcity and sense of FOMO, and like why I was feeling like I was needing these all the time, and really recognizing like the gross amount of money that I was spending on it and how unreasonable it was. So I was a lot more intentional with looking at my money. So that's sort of like thing one, is that I was writing down everything, and just even if the behavior wasn't changing right away, I was focusing on it. And I was focusing on how, for the first few months, I actually didn't bring the credit card down very much at all. And it made me kind of disgusted with myself, which is point two. I've got these written down. Point two, I kind of had to hit a rock bottom where I'd been trying to get out of it and trying to do all of these new habits, and then realizing that I was sucking at it, and realizing that there was a deeper problem here, and that it wasn't just about external control and rules, it was about why I was doing the spending. So, with that truth bomb, I need another sip of coffee because it's only like 8 in the morning. Yeah, I got a little disgusted with myself, and I think the thing that made me feel terrified is the fact that I would understand that I'd gotten myself to this point, and I started to see myself through other people's eyes, like, and realize this was not normal behavior, and that I had basically a shopping addiction. And go, okay, why is that happening? What is really what is happening? Because the shopping addiction is about your emotions. It's about either a sense of scarcity, or you're trying to give yourself dopamine hits that are counteracting something else you're going through. So I had to step back and go and really actually watch like my physical reactions when I was wanting to buy something and trying to resist, which could actually become quite, I don't know how to put it. It sounds a little crazy, but like physically uncomfortable to be like, oh my God, there's this huge sale and there's this thing I love, and I'm thinking about it all day, even though I'm not actually participating in it. I'm thinking about this, right? And how stupid is it to spend so much mental energy on thinking about buying something, but it's what we do, right? Like, I started to recognize that I had to address some of the root causes. Part of one of the reasons that I was having a problem, I think this was still a holdover from like COVID anxiety and stuff, because I think a lot of my like shopping tendencies came out of that era, and I think a lot of us did that, right? We were stuck at home. You're on the internet, you're just browsing, and you're trying to find things to make yourself feel better. But it was also actually health related, because I was sort of recognizing that I was kind of in, like, I have an autoimmune condition, and I was in low key discomfort a lot of the time. Sorry, I'm switching hands. Um, I was in low key discomfort a lot of the time, and I think I was trying to give myself these little dopamine hits to like make myself feel better in the moment, and it was like almost like a painkiller. I know that sounds crazy, but I actually think I can't be the only one who has like some chronic pain issues and uses those kind of like some kind of dopamine hit externally to try and distract yourself from the discomfort. So I really had to start focusing on addressing, really making some changes with my health. And maybe I'll talk about that in another video, but like doing a lot of the hard things that I didn't want to do that would really reduce the inflammation in my body, changing a lot of my lifestyle. So that instead of feeling like crap all the time and then shopping to make myself feel better, instead, I was working on making myself feel better, and the shopping need just kind of went away a little bit. So that was actually really important. Like, if I'm looking back, I had to recognize like I would be in actual physical discomfort when I was wanting to buy something, and I was like immediately going for that kind of shopping hit. I'm not proud of it, but I'm just being honest because I hope maybe somebody watching this recognizes their behavior and gets a few nuggets out of this. I think it's actually a really common thing, and it's hard to face because it's hard to kind of look at the scary behavior. And the reason it was scary is that, you know, I feel like the economy is going in a different direction, and not to be over dramatic because I've lived through 2008 and we survived that and we'll survive this too. But I was starting to feel like I'd put myself in a really vulnerable situation. And for what? For like stupid stuff that I have hanging around my house. So I focused on the money and really looking at it and really looking at my behavior. Thing two, I got a little disgusted with myself. Thing three, I looked at the core reasons why I was spending. Okay. Thing four, and maybe this is why I'm having trouble sort of celebrating the early payoff, is that I feel like it cheated a little bit in that I got a bit of a pay bump that had been due for a while. And I think I'd been low key sort of counting on that to bail me out when I was spending, and that's not healthy. But when it did come, it really moved the needle because for a while I was just treading water, and I wasn't really getting myself out of debt. I had sort of stopped the leaky boat, if you will, but like wasn't able to bail out the water. That's a painful metaphor, but you get what I mean. I had like stopped it from getting worse, but then it was just sitting there, this balance that I couldn't take down because I couldn't free up any money from my budget because groceries suddenly got more expensive and we had a bunch of other expenses to take care of. And it was just sitting there like this giant rock that I couldn't blast my way out of. And I ended up having to actually cash out some savings to really start the needle moving, because the problem is with credit card debt is that by the time you get trapped in that like interest cycle, it's always like going up and up and up, and then you're just bringing it down to the same level and you're not really making any headway. And I realized, painful as it was, I was going to have to give up some of my hard earned savings in order to get out of this problem, which made me angry at myself, which made me feel bad because I was letting my family down. And I was also worried that if I brought it down that easily, that I was also going to backslide. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But the thing I did realize which is kind of interesting, and I don't know if I believe in the law of attraction. I do believe in the law of paying attention to things. So I noticed that the more I paid attention to my money, weird little things started to happen, like where extra money would just fall into my life, or like someone would give me something like a gift card that suddenly, like I won a contest that I didn't even realize I had entered. I think I have a video on that where I like suddenly won like $300 worth of product or whatever, and I was like, what? And I was like, is this a scam? And then I looked and I was like, oh no, I guess I kind of was entered into this thing and I never win anything. And so the more I was paying attention and being intentional with my money, it was like I was finding money in pockets, and I was getting little gifts and winning little things. And I got this, and my raise suddenly came through, that I've been waiting for a long time. So call it what you will. If you believe in the law of attraction, there's your proof. If you think that's all BS, then it was coincidental, and that's okay too. And the cool thing was that now that I was paying attention to my money, when those boons came into my life, I was not suddenly blowing them and being like, yay, I get to like go and spend this and immediately get it out of my life. Because I think if you're a compulsive spender, it's almost like you're uncomfortable having money sitting there. It's like you must plan to spend it on something. And so it's getting out of that mindset. Sorry, this is a long video, you guys. I hope you hang in there with me. So, yeah, that started to happen. So it was like the log jam got broken because I took out my savings and I paid down like 2/3 of my credit card. So I had an amount left that I could reasonably pay off in time. I wanted to do that last bit on my own because I wanted to get a sense of the habit, and if things come too easy, you don't appreciate them. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to work at that last bit and create those good habits. And then pay raise came in. I was able to really start attacking it, like really start attacking my debt. And then it just started, like the snowball started rolling really fast. And then there I was like, oh my God, next month, next paycheck, I'm going to do it. So the other thing that helped is sort of looking at the way I was spending my time, because I was spending a lot of time watching videos about hauls and people who were buying things, and that was just making my urge to spend worse. So I had to sort of unsubscribe from a lot of things. And I also had to realize that I needed to find other ways to fill my time. And part of the anti-anxiety and part of my health and everything was spending more time outdoors. So I really had to throw myself back into my gardening, because that was a hobby that I was really passionate about for many years. And I think, unfortunately, with climate change and everything, it bummed me out a bit, and I got a bit off track with it because it was just so hot all the time. And yeah, let's not get into that, but it's depressing. But I needed to throw myself back into realizing that my outdoor space and spending the time outdoors, just even like that Zen activity of picking weeds, or like just being out in those, like in the fresh air, was really healing for me. So I needed to bring back in some habits, like getting back into doing more stretching and yoga and finding other things that I could do inexpensively that would give me a dopamine hit. Because the idea that you're going to take away your dopamine hit from shopping and then just sit there in your chair and be like, everything's fine, is insane. Like, I needed to just take that requirement of stimulation and find another way to fill it. Sometimes it still required some investments, some small investments, like I signed up for a stretching program that maybe I'll talk about in another video. I obviously did some investing in some of the things I needed to get my garden back in shape, and just recognizing like what my daily habits were going to. I spent a couple of these, I got myself a step tracker, so I started getting obsessive about like getting my steps, and this was bought with Amazon gift cards purely, and it's a cheap piece of crap, but it's working, so I don't care. I'll talk about that maybe in another video. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had to, instead of just assuming that I'm just going to stop shopping, I had to start doing something else that was going to allow me to still watch YouTube videos on a totally different topic and kind of deep dive into that. Like, so if you're trying to stop shopping, you have to find something else to fill that time. You just have to. You have to get into building houses of cards, or like get into baking from scratch. Like you got to do something to fill in that time is my advice. So focus on the money. Get disgusted with yourself. Look at your core reasons. Magically get a raise. That's not fair, but it's happened. Or maybe look at things you could sell or other things in your life that could be liquidated. Let's put it this way, in order to take down your debt, get a new hobby, get a new interest. And the last, I need 6 fingers. The last point, okay? The last point is don't backslide. I can't wait for this to become my tile on my video. By that I mean, I've been here before. I've paid down debt before. What is the plan to not make it build up again? Because sometimes you get there, there's no fanfare, you hit your goal, you feel a little numb, and what you do when you feel numb is to go buy something to celebrate, right? Oh, I have all this extra money now that I'm not chunking it down on my credit card. So now I can just start shopping again, right? Right? And here's the thing that I have to recognize in myself. One of the reasons I started this YouTube channel, for what it's worth, is that I actually really enjoy unboxing things. I still love tea. I still love candles. I'm getting interested in indie perfumes. I want to open boxes on this channel, and I want to review things. And I want to do that in a way that doesn't trigger you and it doesn't trigger me to feel like we have to have all the things. I want to state that I now buy things in a way where I really plan. I'm very intentional. I understand that I have a budget that I have to stay within. But I want to show you guys when I get something cool. Is that okay? And I want to move forward with this channel, you know, being frugal and intentional, but still like enjoying and celebrating the things that I love. Like, it's not about harsh minimalism and depriving myself all the time. So I have a really realistic budget now. I've taken a lot of that money that I was paying off debt with. 50% of it I'm putting into our family budget because we were on a really tight budget, and it's going towards healthy food and spending more time with the family, going out to movies and stuff. And 50% of it is going in to pay back the savings that I cashed out. And that should build up again by the end of the year what I cashed out. So I want to get passionate about saving. I want to get passionate about seeing that bank account go up. I want to get passionate about being able to go out with my kid like I am today and buy a really stupidly expensive latte and walk around a garden together and not feel like I can't do that because I have too much debt. Yeah, I want to move forward, and so I'm declaring my reasonable buy continuing. It's not necessarily a no buy. It's not necessarily a low buy. It's an intentional buy. So maybe hashtag intentional spending. I'll talk about that because I'm passionate about that. But yeah, I did it. I need to stop and recognize that however I got there, which is not how I expected to get there, I got there. It feels really good because the last couple of years I've set New Year's intentions and then gotten nowhere. I've just been frozen in time. So I'm going to be able to look back this year and say I didn't backslide, right? Because the next 6 months is about not backsliding. I want to look back at the end of this year and be like, wow, I paid off a huge amount of debt, and now I have really built up my savings again, and I've put us in a really solid financial place. I'm spending intentionally, and I feel really good about that. I am celebrating the nature around me. I'm celebrating time with family and spending less of my active time just obsessing over buying the latest product. So there we are. This is a 24-minute video. Um, those of you who like watch this, I hope some of you like actually get through to the end of this, and I'll understand if you don't. Um, but I hope that you stick with me. My goal with this channel has never been to like build a following. Otherwise, I would have a way better production value and actually edit these videos. But I know you out there who actually watch me, you're real people, and I appreciate you. And I want to thank you for, even if you watch this for 5 seconds, you're supporting me. Because I love coming and talking to you guys about stuff. Would you like me to come and talk to you about some tea that I buy, or some organic facial care? Or would you like a garden tour? Maybe my next one's going to be that. My garden's looking pretty good right now. Maybe let's do that. I like that idea. Okay, you guys, thanks for hanging in there with me, and have a great day.